Hello, legends and super legends. Welcome to Veloharmony Live subscriber hangout. I'm trying to test this chat. It says chat disconnected, but I think we're good. Let's see here. Okay. Marco Farzan, welcome. I'm testing this chat, so I'm going to say welcome in text. Good. We're having some challenges with the YouTube keeps making changes to their improvements, I should say, to their software. Hope you all are doing good. It's midweek, getting over the hump here, and it's been a crazy morning here. This is the afternoon now, but I had to deal with a little incident. Hey, Azir, Khalid, welcome. Noah. Michael Fernandez, super legend. Good to see you here. Christopher Roxbury, good to see you guys here. So I'm still behind on my hydration for the day, so I'm catching up. I did a ride today. I was able to get out for a little over a couple of hours and spin for a bit. And so the timing of the live session was suggested by my 9-year-old. So we did 4:35. There was a lot of stuff going on. So I think it's a good time for it. Hope your week has been going well. This is the first day I've written since the weekend. I went ahead and took an extra rest day on Tuesday, just kind of rest up because I've been putting in a lot of miles. And so whenever possible, I try to get a little bit of extra rest. So I went out today to Cimarron, and Robert Tangler he likes that area too when I go there. So I just did a couple of loops in there and came back. And it's close to the area. It was within about 45, 50 minutes by bike. And you can get like 380 meters of climbing. And in this area, that's a lot of climbing because, Houston's kind of flat, the Houston area. I'm actually not in Houston, in the woodlands north of the city, but that's good to be able to get anything over 350 meters on a, like a ride, 2.5 hours. That's pretty good. So let's see. Oh yeah, by the way, I got my Rafa Festive 500 badge in the mail on Friday night. Finally, they were behind this year. It came through Royal Mail, so they must have mailed it from the UK. And it's really nice to get it. So I'm going to put it on my my Festive 500 jersey. I'm going to put it in the middle pocket. I've got to stitch it properly because I've got 2 badges on the side, and I'm going to put that in the third one. Fun forever. Yeah, this jersey, Solo Superior. It's one of the teams that Eddie Merckx, the GS Solo team. Eddie Merckx rode with them. I have another jersey that I need to get to the alterations lady because Santini is inconsistent when they make these jerseys. I get these from Prenda's Ciclismo. They have a lot of retro jerseys, but they're inconsistent and it came kind of looser than I like it to be. So I'm going to get my alterations lady to take it in, especially down in the waist. Because when you put stuff in the pocket, then it moves on you when it's loose. But it's there's a team that Eddie Merckx used to ride with called Faema, F-A-E. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, whether it's Fema or Faema. But that was one of the teams that he rode with before he got into the Molteni team, which everybody knows him for. The lighting is changing here, so I'm trying to make sure I have enough light here because it's in the afternoon and the sun's going down. So yeah, so I like this team that he was with for a while. The GS Solo Superior team is a nice, simple jersey. So I wore that today, Robert Tangler, welcome. Hey, Robert, I did the Cimarron route today. I was just talking about it. So, oh, Chris says, how far do you have to ride from the house to meet up with the group on weekends? If I go direct, 30 minutes, but I never go direct. I like to leave here a little earlier, and I try to get close to an hour now because what has happened is sunlight, because of daylight savings time, the sunlight is coming up at 7:30, and they're going to probably start leaving around 7:30 again, but they started leaving at 7:45 just to give people some light chance, that because a few people ride there. So what I do is I ride about 55 minutes. I take a longer route to meet them, but the direct route, 30 to 35 minutes is the norm. If there's a lot of wind, maybe 40 minutes, but yeah. So I ride about 9.5 miles, Chris. You know, so almost 10 miles. That's about 16 kilometers to meet them. So whatever they do, we get an extra 32 kilometers when we ride there and ride back. So we add 32 kilometers. So when they do 60, we get 92. And that's why we do 100 miles average every Saturday, because we go ahead and just make sure we ride with whatever they do. If they're doing less than 60 miles, we just leave them and we ride further out, because on Saturdays, that's when we can get out. That's the day. So yeah, so about 10 miles, 9.5, 10 miles. It's a great warm up. We just ride and we chat and just comfortably ride up there. And you see those guys don't warm up. Those of you who watch the ride on Sunday, you saw it just take off. And that's actually not very good for your fuel efficiency. It's kind of like getting in your car and it's been sitting all night and you start it and just speed off. You burn more fuel as opposed to letting it idle maybe at the corner or at the light or the stop sign and let it kind of gradually get warmed up. And so the engine is at operating temperature. You know how you get in your car and the needle's on the C. That's not the time to drive fast. The engine's not warmed up yet. When it gets to operating temperature, the needle doesn't have to be in the middle. Sometimes just a little above that blue or that C, and you're ready to go. That's what they taught us in driving school. Let the car reach operating temperature before you drive normally. I don't believe in sitting there for the idle to warm up. You start driving, but you don't drive fast. You know, you save fuel that way. Same thing with the body. You warm up properly, you burn fats better, you're more efficient. You don't jump on your carbs right away. If you don't warm up, your body just doesn't really burn the fats. You just start going hard. That's not good for the use of your fuel. It's inefficient. So I pay attention to that. So that's why we ride there. And a lot of riders, even Mo never drives to those rides. He rides there. That's the reason we ride there. Pinarello Rider. Welcome, Jamal Griffith. Hey, Jamal, how you doing? Jamal, I saw your program. I saw that you're tired and you're getting. Jamal's one of the guys that Jamal's Action Jackson. He's on our coaching program. I saw that Jamal's got a lot of stuff going on extracurricular, and he's smart enough because I gave him a pretty tough program. And so what he's doing is he's doing less because he has a lot of stuff going on with work, and he's doing some other business ventures and other things. So Jamal, I'm watching your stuff. So we're going to have to maybe tweak a few things while you start doing too many other things. And so it's good that you're backing off. We may need to just, I'm looking at how long you've been doing this program and maybe slip in a rest week for you. Yeah. You know, so don't force yourself. You're already kind of doing it right. So when you feel tired, just easy, forget the plan and just spin. Just to keep your body loose, burn some fat. You know, don't feel like you have to train if you're just busy and it's crazy. You know, Jamal's working a lot of hours right now, and he's an entrepreneur. So, you know, that kind of does stuff. Hey, Pierce, welcome. So let's see. Ian Hunter. Hi, buddy. Just wanted to say I love your channel. You have improved my cycling. Thank you for your wisdom. You're welcome, Ian. We appreciate it. You know, we're thrilled that we have people that support the channels that we're able to do this, you know, because it's hard to invest the time otherwise. So I always thank the super legends. They mean a lot. I want them to know we haven't forgotten. They're the reason we're able to do this. So Font Forever, he says, how do you balance long rides and family life? I'm lucky if I get 2.5 hours on the weekend. Okay, good question. It's been asked before, but I'll put a spin on it this way. The daylight starts here at 7:30 Central Daylight Time. we get light. So I don't wait for that. I get up at 5:30 font. 5:30, the alarm goes up. And to tell you the truth, last weekend, I even told Paul Ilonga, my body woke up at 5:27 a.m. That's how much I look forward to riding now. I don't want to make it seem like it's easy to get out on these rides. You guys make it easy because I look forward to doing these rides and filming, especially Saturday, the weekend ride for you guys. I look forward to the premieres. That gets me going. I look forward. So in order to ride well on the weekends, I know I got to do something during the week. So I try to squeeze in. Today was a lunch ride. I snuck out, got it in. And in fact, the reason why I'm surprised I was able to start this on time. My daughter's new Mini Cooper, some moron, rear-ended her today at 1 p.m. Central Daylight Time. I was riding. And, you know, when I'm riding, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. So my wife had to go there, and they got the car towed to some shop. It's pretty much totaled. I mean, we haven't even made the first payment on the car. And this knucklehead, some commercial vehicle. You know, most of you, how can I put it? And I'm getting off font, but I'll come back to the family thing. But it's all part of it. He wasn't paying attention. It's clear. This is on a farm road. All these roads that we ride on, the area called Cypress, Texas. Robert Tangler here, he knows the area. Cypress, Rose Hill, and Grant Road. That's the area right off of 249. You know, he lives in Tomball. 249 goes there. It's just a little southwest of where Robert lives. We ride out there. We've ridden with the bike bar. These are the country farm to market road. There's no shoulder. She said she had a blowout. She heard the tire pop. So she put on her hazard and called my wife. They were on the phone, and my wife had called a tow truck to go get her. So she's kind of driving on the highway. Well, not highway, like the roads that we ride on, with her hazards going. This guy runs into her at speed, hard enough to push her off the road into the grass, lift the rear of the car during the impact, his whole front. He was driving a van, like a commercial van, and there's some A&E, so I forgot the name of it. But anyway, the witness who was going the opposite way said that she heard brakes and just saw the rear of the Mini in the air and the front of his white van in the air. Basically, he hit her up, pushed her off the road. And so when I got back from my ride, my wife had been calling, so I called her, and then I found out that, you know, they had taken my daughter to Tomball Regional Hospital. They did MRI or whatever. She's okay. She's banged up a bit, but it's just a big headache. So now, you know, her car's pretty much damaged. It's not worth repairing. And so the guy told the officer that, well, he told my daughter I didn't see her. He probably told the officer the same thing. And I'm thinking, how do you not see a vehicle on the road with flashers on? So pedestrians don't stand a chance. Cyclists, I mean, these are the roads we ride on, same little asphalt roads with 2 lanes. You know, I'm like, he wasn't paying attention. I see them all the time, even in my neighborhood here, right outside my house, when they're coming to work on people's pools and stuff. They'll be driving and you're behind them and you see them like this. They're looking at the manifest or whatever, trying to find an address or whatever, but the car is going forward and they're doing this. He didn't see her because he was driving and not looking. I mean, it's pretty obvious. And I bet you they gave him the ticket for the accident because the officer could care less. It's a sunny day, 67 degrees, clear. You don't need to be driving. And the sad thing is, he might end up losing his job because it was such a violent accident that ambulance was called to transport my daughter. Thankfully, she's not seriously hurt. But it's kind of like, it's going to cost his company a lot of money and headache, you know. And so I don't have time to deal with all that crap. So, you know, my wife's been on the phone with an attorney before I got in here. I called my sister who had used one in the past. I didn't want to just pick up anybody. And so we find an attorney's that office that says, okay, we'll handle everything. And that's kind of good. So you don't have to stop your life per se. And then my daughter's well enough to where she wants to go to class because her school, you know, she was coming on this side of town for an appointment or something, you know, a doctor's appointment. And so now I don't want to miss my class tomorrow or whatever. And I told her, I said, look, I'm just glad that you're okay. If you have to miss school because you're not well, that's fine. That's a class you can make up or whatever. But I'm just glad that you're not hurt. And then, you know, once we got past that, then my wife said, oh, the car's total. And I said, yeah, forget about the car. Oh, I just wanted you to know. I said, yeah, that's fine. The car can be replaced. Now, let me come back. to the family thing. So dealing with all of that, I was still able to do this live session. Thankfully, because it wasn't serious. It wasn't a serious injury. My daughter's here in the house. They released her. You know, they did their test. We talked to the attorney right before I started this. So they're going to go in tomorrow morning, late morning, to meet the attorneys. And so they can handle everything and deal with. I didn't want to deal with insurance companies, his insurance company, our insurance company. I just want them to talk to one person, the attorneys. They can deal with that and handle it. So that's the thing. Now, these are the roads we ride on. And that's why we have these lights and whatever, but you never know. He wasn't looking. I mean, how do you miss a car on the road with hazards? I told my daughter, even if your hazards wearing on, you're a box on the road with 4 wheels. How does he miss you? You know, talking about he didn't see her. That's the same crap they do in Australia. They hit a cyclist. Oh, Smith, I didn't see you. Sorry, mate, I didn't see you. Anyway, let's come back to this guy's stuff about family stuff. 5:30, I get up. By 6:30, I've done the prologue. And by 6:30, right now, it's still dark. So that's why I have those lights that can light up the road. We take off like 6:40, 6:45, head off. So I ride for an hour before I meet the group. My family's still sleeping. So now I can get an hour ahead of the group ride. Then I can get maybe 3.5 hours with the group. So that's 4.5. I can get another hour, 5.5 sometimes. Usually we ride 6.5 to 7 hours. By the time we're done, it's maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock, thereabouts. But my family knows that Saturday is my long ride day. So even if I get back at 2, 3, it's not a problem. That's how I balance it. Now, Sunday, I do the same thing, but Sunday I only try to get 4, maybe 4.5 hours. But I do it early. I use the lights. That's why I buy all the warm stuff, friend. I buy the warm stuff, the wet weather stuff, because I don't have the luxury of changing to say, oh, it's raining in the morning, I go in the afternoon. That messes up with the family. That's how I balance it. So I want you to keep that in mind. So get the gearing you need, make an appointment, let the family know this is bike time. So the family knows. My daughters know, my wife, all my family, extended family, they know. They know not to call me Saturday morning. They're not going to get an answer, you know, unless it's some emergency. Nobody I know, because they know that block of time is done. The same thing Sunday morning. So I block off that time. Now, during the week, I can sneak off because, at lunchtime, I can sneak off and take off. I don't have an appointment or anything. I don't have a fit schedule or whatever. And family's not here because they're at work. My daughter's at school. That's how I balance that. I get my ride in before they get home. So now I'm doing the live session when I'm done. I'm hoping around 6 or so we'll be done. And then I get to hang out with my daughters or whatever. But the main thing is, I think what you're driving at is the weekend. So just make sure that you use the mornings. That's when most riders ride, because your family will probably sleep in. So if you sacrifice and don't party Friday night and go to bed at 9, 9:30, you'll be able to get up 5:30, you have decent rest, and take off while they're still sleeping. And so when you get back 10, 11, whatever, you could ride 3. If you left at 5:30 in the morning, you could ride 4 hours and be back and get the time in. That's why we don't wait with the group. When they start waiting too much, we take off. I don't want to waste my time. If I'm out there, I want to be riding. That's how I balance it, by sticking to my appointment and not letting the weather change my appointment. So if it's raining, who cares? I put on my rain kit, my mud guards, and I go, because that's the time I have. So it doesn't interfere with my family life. That's how I do it. So I hope that explains it. I kind of went into other things there, but I wanted you to know that the reason I mentioned the accident today was it worked out to where I didn't have to reschedule the live session. So you have to be able to balance things and make do. So when I got back from my ride today, I had planned to work on the website. But because of what happened to my daughter, I used that time to find an attorney. I did all the searching and then just gave the number to my wife. We both had a conference call with the attorney, and we got that taken care of. So now that's in play, and I could come and still do the live session and continue. So you kind of have to work hand in hand. You can't put the family on hold all the time because of cycling. You got to blend it in. And I think it's healthier that way. You want a balanced life. So it's really good to not make one thing more important than the other. They're all a part of who you are. And so you got to balance them off. So if the mornings are not good for you on a particular day, then you move the cycling to when it will work for you on that day. and then you do another day when the morning will work. That's the way we do it. I have the RBC Grand Fondo on Sunday, April 7th. I've already told the family on April 7th, that Sunday, I'm not going to be here at 11 or noon like I usually am, because this is a longer ride and it's a ride where we'll drive to. So I thought that I'll be gone till like late in the afternoon. Well ahead of the event, I've already informed the family. So the family knows. That's how you keep the peace. Don't be springing surprises on them. So now if something else comes that the family wants to do, we're going to have to do it on another day other than the 7th. And so now you got to make sure you keep them informed instead of just on a whim going and doing a long ride. That was the reason I didn't do the 150-mile ride that Jerry wanted us to do. He had already gotten home, but he told us, why don't you guys keep riding? You're close. You got 100. We have more miles than he did. And then I just decided that I had not told my wife I would be gone that long that day. And so that's why I went ahead and ended the ride. I could have done it, but it may have created a problem. You never know. So that's how you balance it. You got to communicate with your family, and I think that will work for most people. Let's see here. Joel, I've been meaning to ask you, would your training wisdom differ for someone who wants to specialize in single speed ultra endurance cycling? I can't seem to find anybody that touches on that subject. I don't see why it matters whether you're doing single speed ultra endurance. The key is that you need to prepare your body for whatever you're going to be doing. So they may use the word ultra endurance. If ultra endurance means you're probably going for 24 hours or whatever. So you need to prepare and make sure you can handle that kind of effort for that duration. And now for ultra endurance, you still got to rest. You're not going to ride the whole thing without resting. So you, just like people train for the Ironman, they swim, run, bike. They do those events. They may not do all three all the time. I know that for a fact. There are days where they'll just ride. They'll do a 5-hour ride. Then there are days where they'll just swim. And days where they just run. But they always have a day where they do all three. So you want to do an event, you got to prepare for it the same way. So if you're going to do a 24-hour event and you know you're going to have to nap or whatever, you may need some support to try to replicate that before you get there. Because you don't want to get there not having prepared for it. It doesn't matter whether it's single speed or not. You've got to be able to do the work, and try to find a terrain that is close. You're not going to be able to find the exact terrain. You may have to do loops in your area, but you focus on the time that it will take you and prepare your body for that. All right. Ian Hunter, sorry, don't introduce myself. I'm Ian from England. I'm a black guy, 115 kilograms down from 165. Wow, that's a lot of 50 kilos, man. Yeah, give me that secret. I don't know if I want to be that light. Let's see, have made me fast. I'm surprised I'm in my little club. I don't know what I've done, Ian. I think maybe you've just been able to apply the principles. A lot of stuff I do here is common sense, but it's coupled with the training I've done and the fact that I understand human physiology. I try to keep it simple to where people can understand. So I think that's what you've benefited from. The key is that whatever you do needs to be consistent. You need to be consistent in what you do and make sure that you don't do too much too soon. If you want to do, say, like people, there's a guy named Mike in California. I forgot his last name. I think Mike W. Anyway, or is it Mark? He's on Strava, and every week when I load the ride for Saturday, he calls it beast mode. See, I don't see it like that. I didn't just start doing 162 kilometers. You guys that have been here know that. We used to ride 5 hours, 4 hours, Saturday, Sunday, whatever. Over, several years, we've just always ridden long on the weekend. There were times when just Paul and I would just go to Huntsville or Beat Ice. So it's not new. Even if we only used to do, say, 100 kilometers. 100 kilometers, what? 62 miles. Then the next week we'd do 120, like when we did the Heroes Ride. We did 120 or whatever. You build up to it. So I don't see doing 162 kilometers as he calls it beast mode. I don't see it as a big deal because it's just normal. When I started riding with Team RR in the summer last year, I always rode from the house Paul was not well at that time. Something was going on in June. He was not there for a few weeks. But I always rode to them, which is the 10 miles I told Christopher about earlier. And then I would ride with whatever they would do, and I would ride back home. So I always had an extra 32 kilometers added to whatever ride they did. So I was always doing between 65 to 95 miles, let's say 90 miles with them. Before Paul came on, he was ready to go longer, like when we started training for the festive 500. So it wasn't like I was doing something that was a big jump. We're going from 90 miles to 100. That's like 10 miles. That's an extra half hour or whatever. And now notice though, when we do 162 kilometers, we're not doing it at our fastest pace. You know, we're not doing it in record time. It's taking us what, 6.5, sometimes 7 hours, you know, 6:15, whatever. We don't look at it that way. We just make sure we hold a decent pace. A lot of times when we leave the group, we ride a conversational pace. We chat, we discuss strategies, and then we'll come to a hill and say, okay, let's hit this one. Then we'll hit it hard. So if you look at somebody's ride on Strava, and let's say you see average speed and they say like my rides will be anywhere from 25 kilometers an hour to maybe 27 kilometers an hour average, thereabouts. That does not really tell you what happens in that ride. You know, it doesn't tell you about the 3 to 5 minute period where we went full gas or we had to go full gas. And that's what I try to tell a lot of people. Forget average speed. Focus on the kind of work you need to do when you're riding that will prepare you for what your demands are of your event, whether it's your group ride, whether it's your whatever event you're training for, like the ultra endurance, whatever. You need to make sure that you're replicating. If you ride with guys that hammer a hill, a particular hill, when you go riding by yourself, hammer your hill so that your body is ready to ride a hill at a hard effort. That's what matters. Even if you average 20 kilometers an hour for your ride, if you did those sections hard, when you ride with the boys, you'll be ready. But if all you did was worried about average speed and you did not do anything hard, when those boys start going hard, you're not used to hitting that zone. That's how you get dropped. So even though you're doing the miles, you'll still get dropped because you didn't teach your body to hit that zone by going hard, getting your legs to do that work. Keep that in mind. Quit worrying about average speed. I talked about it. I made a video about it. People seem to be hung up on it on Strava. Average speed, average. Nobody, who cares about average speed? That's controlled by the elements. Nobody cares about that. You sit in a group doing nothing, you can average 28 kilometers an hour. Doesn't mean anything because you sat in on a flat road. What does that mean? But when it's time to put down the power, you better make sure you're able to. Let's see here. I see. I'm going to jump to Michael Fernandez, our super legend here before I come back. Let's see. What is your take on combining weights with workouts? I don't do weights because I get bulky. I do the total gym. The total gym is kind of like an all-in-one gym that uses your body weight, almost like calisthenics, military style training. So that's what I use. If I do weights, I have to do a lot of reps. But I found the total gym many years ago, and the one I have is older. They always change them. You guys have seen the ads with Chuck Norris and I think Christy Brinkley and other people. I like it because it relaxes you. It's almost like it stretches you while you're strengthening. It lengthens your muscles. And I really like that because I used to be very tight and now I'm very flexible. I don't have aches and pains when I ride. So I actually use that to stretch as well as build strength. If you're going to do weights, increase the repetition because cycling is not American football or rugby. Cycling is endurance sport first. And then it does have areas where you go anaerobic and you produce a lot of power. But emphasis is endurance because it doesn't matter how strong you are. If you can't last to be there at the end, then it doesn't matter because you're not going to be there for the sprint and so forth and so on. It's the same thing in our rides with these guys. They'll start out, you saw Sunday, They down the road, right out of the gate, they're way up. And you saw Rob. I mentioned that Rob literally was hanging when we came through that neighborhood. I happened to film that section. He stuck his tongue out. He was tired. And Davis ended up giving her jelly beans to him. He basically was bonking and had to beg for food. You know, people gave him stuff to eat. But that says he didn't plan. And Rob's a former racer. But he's trying to do too much. He started to race Christian off camera in that neighborhood. There's a lot of hills in there. They were racing each other. And I just smiled. And he ended up spending all his energy in the neighborhood. And when we got through the gate, he was done. That's why at the end of Horny in Egypt, you all didn't see him. It was just Alan, myself, and Maurice. So, you know, you always have to keep that in mind. You have to always know what's in the tank. You don't want to end your ride wiped out. You know, you want to end the ride strong. I do my hardest workouts at the end of the ride, where that camera cut off on the film at that light, and I put it up. When the light changed, Alan took off because I was a Strava segment, and we rode that stretch to 1488 faster than anything on the ride because it was a segment. I started to chase Alan, you know, and then Maurice was like, forget you guys. So you have to always have a little something, and I always tell Paul when we ride, let's finish strong. That's why on Saturday, imagine I did 100 miles or so on Saturday, and then I rode with those guys and did 132 miles on Sunday. So the body has just gotten used to that work. So I make sure that I do all my running around during the week. And in fact, I do it early in the week. So I didn't ride yesterday. I did all my running around. Monday, the same thing. I prepare for the premiere. Whatever I'm doing, the premiere, it takes a lot of preparation for that film. You know, just the process of getting the data exported. But early in the week, I do all my errands. By Friday, I don't want to be running around. I don't want to be on my feet. If anything, I'll spin for an hour or something. And probably not. If I do it indoors, I don't load it on Strava. But the point I'm making is that I prepare my body for Saturday and Sunday. Those are the events. Saturday more than Sunday. So even whatever's left over, I do it on Sunday. Because I didn't really know how I was going to be going on Sunday. But because I've been riding so consistently, it was there. So just keep that in mind. Weights are okay. Just don't bulk up. Do at least 15 reps or more. I made a video on the subject. If you search on the channel, there's one there about the best kind of weight training for cyclists. Let's see here. Michael Fernandez said, that happened to me. A knucklehead ran into me and my car was a write-off. Yeah, that's what happened today. I just found out it happened about 1 p.m. this afternoon. So I think Paul just logged on. It probably wasn't there. I see Paulie Longa's on there. My daughter's car. We haven't even made the first payment. The guy runs into her on a road that we ride on. Those are the roads that we will ride on with the bike barn. Okay, Cypress, Rose Hill, and Grant Road. It's not that busy of a road. This knucklehead wasn't paying attention. So the plus is that he's insured. We do have a lot of drivers in our area that don't have insurance. And that's the reason we carry insurance. So it turns out he's insured. He's with a company, is a company van or whatever. And, you know, he's injured too because his head hit his windshield. My wife took a picture of his van, the entire front. You know, it's one of these like Econoline vans, the best way I can describe that. And the whole front is smashed in, but he basically wiped out. He hit the car so hard, hit her into a field, you know. And it's like he just was not paying attention. He hit her at speed because the lady said all she heard were brakes. And then bam, his front of his car is down, the Mini's butt up. And she just saw the Mini go up over there. So he couldn't even drive the car. They were both standing there. And he goes over to my daughter's window from what my wife told me and said, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Well, that's not going to pass, you know. That's why I said tell cyclists the same thing. Sorry, mate, I didn't see you. In Australia, they call it SMIDs. Those are you from the land down under. I was reading about it in an article a while back. Sorry, mate, I didn't see you. That's supposed to be their excuse, SMIDS. You need to watch the road. A lot of these guys in my neighborhood, they'll come to work on people's homes, my neighbors' homes. I'll be coming back from dropping the girls, and you see them in the car like this. And the car is going forward. They're looking at something. They're reading in the car. That's exactly what they do. And it just makes no sense. So he was moving at speed, probably 40 miles an hour thereby. It doesn't take much. And slammed into the car and just wiped it out. It's not going to be something you'd want to salvage. And, you know, she's banged up. So the ambulance took her to the hospital. They released her, and she's here now. And so her biggest concern, she wants to go to class tomorrow. I'm like, you know, you pay attention to how you feel. I told him, I said, make sure you get to the lawyer first, because I told the lawyer we want you guys to handle everything. I said, you need to get there so they can tell you what to do and make sure that you're taken care of, because I've had people in my family where they got hit. Then years later, the injury from that accident kind of lured his head. It's like at first they were okay, but after a while, you know, especially when you're rear-ended, you can injure your neck and your spine and different things. So I told her, I said, don't, if you feel better in a little while, that doesn't mean that, you know, you got to get checked out. Always do. You always, you know, but it's worse. And my wife was saying, well, you know, it's scary because you guys ride on those roads. And so what I told her was, because that's the first thing she said, you know, I was worried because you guys ride out there. I told her, I said, you need to be worried about outside our door here. I said, do you see these guys coming over here? We got guys that would come to work on people's pool and climb the curb because they're not looking, you know, because we have curbs right by your lawn. They'll climb the curb while they're trying to come to somebody's house. So I told her, I said, yeah, it can happen anywhere outside your door where you work. That's just the reality of it. You get busy living. You can't worry about it. We do the best we can. We try to be safe. We put lights on our bikes or whatever. She's driving down the road. She has a blowout. She's got a hazard on. How do you hit a car that has flashing hazards on? Even if the lights aren't on. This is a sunny day at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, you know. so they said the officer, you know, gave him the ticket. They gave the incident report to my wife and whatever. So she gave all that information to the attorney. I thought, yeah, it's obvious. I mean, you know, what else is the person supposed to do? You know? And I told my daughter, I said, even if you hadn't put the hazard on, it's his responsibility to keep his eyes on the road. You know, there are people crossing the street. It's not even in the middle of nowhere like we usually ride. Cypress is a pretty thriving community. You know, so he's gonna, you know, I mean, he's got his own things to deal with, and his boss not gonna be happy because that's a company van that's wiped out. You know, and so they got it. So I'm just glad that she was not hurt. You know, and then they were, oh, the car's total. You can get a new car. You know, that's what you're gonna have to do. What else are you gonna do? You know, and my wife started to tell the attorney, oh, she's a new driver. That's not germane. What if she's a new driver? She did everything right. If I have a blowout on the highway, I'll put on my hazards. Even if I don't have a blowout and my car stalls, let's say, and my engine dies, does that give you the right to run into me? I'm sitting in a vehicle, you know, on a street. You know, so there's just no excuse for it. So, yeah, they told his car he couldn't drive it either because it was like, I said, yeah, he hit her pretty hard. But it's just one of those things, man. It's like, I'm just glad everything worked out. It happens. There's not much you can do about it. You can't let that stop you from living. That's the thing I tell people, you know, one day Paul Longer, I was riding, you probably remember, we're on Flint Ridge headed south at Kirkendall. We stopped at the light. This lady in a Honda Pilot was behind us, and there was no car in the left lane. So I told him, let's move over to let her go or something. I don't know if it was that day. I may have been by myself, but I think I told him the story. So as she turned, she thanked me for letting her make her right turn. And then she told me, be careful. And I turned to her and I said, you be careful. Then she said, yeah, you're right. I said, yeah, more of you die in those things than people on bicycles. And she didn't make her turn. The realization hit her. And she looked at me. She said, yeah, you're right. We got 2,000 something people die in cars every month. But people forget that because it's not happening to you. But it's just a volume of people using cars. And so it hit her at that moment. I think I may have told Paul about it. But everybody thinks that you know, the bicycle is a vulnerable vehicle, but you'd be amazed some of the stupid accidents we see that are avoidable. And in the city of Houston, what they do is if no one's hurt or if you don't have an ambulance that is required, the police may not even come out. They'll have you go to the station and fill out what they call the blue form, like an accident report. Because the city's so big, they don't want to be sending officers all over. So little fender benders, I tell you, get them off the road. Nobody's hurt. You can file an incident report. You guys share information, whatever. So it's just not, you know. That's why when I'm driving, I try to do my best to be cautious and try to drive defensively, sometimes offensively, you know. because it's not worth it. You just waste a lot of time. Even a small fender bender, it's just, you know, it's a mess. It's unfortunate, but you know. So I don't know. I don't know if she'd want another car. Does it? Well, your track record. We haven't even made the first payment. Your car is total. So you know, we'll see how that works out. See if she wants a car. So you might want to start riding a bike. They give you more room. But anyhow, let's get back to this here. Christopher Roxon says it's getting very, very dangerous to be a road cyclist on any road these days. Yeah, or even driving a car. I mean, you know, she's driving a. I don't know how much the Mini weighs, but it has that was a Mini Cooper standard. It had like a 1.6 liter engine. You know, it's a vehicle, and he just ran her off the road like she was invisible. I'm like, you know, they just don't pay attention. Whether you're riding a bike, trike, driving a car, everybody's too distracted. You know, they want to be, oh, I got a text, I got to look at it. When did that become a need? You know, watch the road. You want to do all of that, get on a bus, and then you can read and do whatever you want, let the driver drive. You know, that's what some people take the bus. They relax, they don't have to deal with the stress of traffic, and they get driven to work. Or some people take the train or whatever. You know, but if you're operating a vehicle, you need to pay attention. So knowing all of that, when I'm in my car, I actually don't feel safer in my car. I feel safer on my bike, because what we get a lot of times is the drivers go out of their way, especially at intersections. They don't even want to take the right of way. They're waving us through. A lot of times we got to tell them, no, you go. We already stopped. So in my car, I feel safer on my bike for some reason than in my car, because these guys, when you're in your car, they're more comfortable cutting in front of you to fill the gap, especially in the city. You know, if you're leaving like your 3-second rule or whatever, and they'll just start to fill it in and all of that. So, yeah, especially in the city, when it gets more crowded, people drive differently, which doesn't make sense. They take more chances and they're going nowhere. So, yeah, you got to make do. So when you're driving, you just have to drive for the other drivers. So I don't do any. When I'm driving, I only drive. You know, and there's a neat thing on the iPhone 6 I have. It's probably on all the newer ones. When you're driving, it automatically stops all your notifications. And it sends a message to people that I'm driving. It's like a standard message. I'm driving and I will get back to you when I can. Something like that, paraphrasing. And I thought, oh, that's kind of neat, you know. So yeah, when I'm driving, I don't mess around. I look at, because I see a lot of mistakes. People make mistakes. Some of them are legit. Some of them are just careless. So that's what you got to do. You do the best you can, and you know it's okay. Things happen, and you knock on wood. What can you do, man? You know, you got to go on living. Yeah. So yeah. Me too. Noah says glad you're doing. Yeah, that's the first question I asked. How is she doing? Because when my wife said the ambulance picked her up, because the ambulance always comes when the accident is serious, and it was a serious. He totaled his van. The front is all smushed in, and the back of the car is all. The good thing is that people see the Mini and they think the Mini is like an egg. Anything that BMW puts their hands in, they build that sucker. Those doors, like the doors, are so heavy to prevent anything that hits you on the side from entering the cabin, because they figured out that's how people get killed. So BMW really, they reinforce the doors or whatever. So I felt very comfortable getting her a Mini. I've always wanted a Mini for me, because once they bought Mini, they really brought it up to their safety standards, literally all the technology from BMW. So as hard as he hit the car, the back, you know, they have the crumple zones. The bumper cover fell off, the back went in, but nothing went into the cabin. So, you know, she hit her head on the steering wheel, and then she said her foot hit, I think, something down in the dash because of the collision. But overall, yeah, the car is really smushed in from the back. And the reason why they don't want to invest the money to fix it, how do you straighten the frame? So the frame is designed to crumple so that the forces go through, underneath, and over, and it's not felt that much by the inhabitants of the cabin. I learned that many years ago when my car was hit. I had a 5 Series that was hit from the rear, and you could see the wrinkles on the top. And they explained that those are actually crumple zones that they build in there. So for as bad as the car looked, she wants to go to class tomorrow. She got a little contusion on her leg, and this and that. So, you know, the lawyer said, okay, take a picture of this, take a picture of that. Under her chin, it's a little scuffed up where it hit the steering, but she's good, fine enough to go, you know, and the reason why the hospital does all those tests is your head. Whenever your head gets hit, your brain moves around. That's the reason we wear these helmets with the MIPS now and all that. People used to laugh like we look like spacemen. I think it's a good idea, you know, and that's why the football players wear those helmets. Because anytime your head hits, you never know. Your brain's not designed to get jarred, you know, so that's kind of cool. So once I found out she was okay, she showed up. And she, you know, a little banged up, and then she started thinking about going to school tomorrow. I said, okay, if she's thinking about school, she's not, you know, and they're out there. I don't know what they're doing right now, but I told them I got a live session. We got everything in place. So they're going to go in town tomorrow to meet with the attorneys. I want the attorneys to handle all of that so we don't start fielding calls from all the insurance companies. Because our insurance company will call, I just, you know, just talk to one person and work it out. This way, since the guy's insured, they will just go through his insurance company, hopefully, and get that solved. However they do it. I just told the attorney, get it done quickly. However, whatever the quickest way to get her some transportation so my wife wouldn't have to be driving to the college to bring her here on the weekend if she wants to come. That's why we got her the car, you know, so it's kind of, that's the way it is, man. I'm like, the first thing I told my wife is I found she was okay. I said, well, maybe we shouldn't get her a car. I don't think she's ready to drive. She's like, oh, come on. I don't know. But anyway, it's just one of those things, man. It's life. Let's see here. Veloharmony, I took your advice and purchased a set of Rafa bibs. Okay. They're awesome. He said they're awesomeness. I guess he likes them. They fit my body like a glove and are so comfortable. I can't wait to ride. Which one did you get, Enzo? Because they got the classic and the protein. You know, and then the cool. Yeah, they make good stuff, man. Rafa makes good stuff. It's kind of pricey, but it's good. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, Paul said he had technical difficulty. Okay, well, glad you got that sorted, man. So Leah's fine, man. She's okay. Banged up a little bit, but she's fine. So I don't really know what was going on. Yeah. Pinarello Rider. Yeah, he said, I'm scared to ride on the roads here in Atlanta with these idiots on the road texting and stuff. Yeah, I mean, you know, we what we do is, all you can do is, you know, the lights really make a difference. But yeah, it's unfortunate. And, you know, the funny thing is such a big problem that in our state of Texas, they have signs that says, like on the highway, text later or whatever, you know, something like that. Because it's such a problem. I don't understand why people think it's okay to take your eyes off the road at speed. You know, it's like if you're operating the vehicle, it doesn't take much to get in an accident at speed, especially on the roadways. I think the European call them roadways. We call them freeways. Because when you're moving at 60 miles an hour, let's say, you know, or, you know, 90 kilometers an hour, you don't have that much room. You got a few seconds, and that's not much to be looking at a text, you know. And some people put the phones on holders, which is up here, which is fine because your field of vision is at least here. But why did it become such a need to always be in constant contact? You know, I don't feel that need. So no. But yeah, but that's what we live with. You just adjust. So when I'm driving and I see people that are distracted, my goal is to either stay behind or pass them to where I'm nowhere near them. I don't want to be around. I don't want to be in their path. That's what I do, you know. So let's see here. Larry from Philly. Let me get caught up here. All right. Daniel Cavazos. Hello, Elder. Really enjoy your channel. My question is, what seat posts are you using and what is the degree of setback? I have different seat posts, Daniel. The bike they call Nago. I use a 3.2 millimeter setback because my Colnago is a 72.75 seat angle. It's a little forward. And I have long femurs, so I like to sit. I sit about 11.5 centimeters thereabout behind the bottom bracket, especially with the S&P saddle. Standard saddles, I'll probably be like 10 centimeters, which is about 4 inches behind the bottom bracket. Because I need that setback, I cannot ride a frame that has anything more aggressive than a 73-degree angle seat tube. I just won't be able to get the saddle back far enough. On the orange bike, the Kish bike, it was a custom bike. It was made with a 70-degree seat tube, which allows me to use a straight seat post from Thompson. So there's 0 setback. And I can do the same on the blue one. The Lighthouse, but I just recently, after my saddle broke, I decided to get a carbon seat post with 2.5 millimeter setback. The 2.5 millimeter setback is kind of like a standard setback for road bikes. That's what they factored when bikes were built back in the day. So when you see the old steel bikes like ridden by Mercs and other guys, those seat posts that had like the one bolt, they all had 2.5 millimeter setbacks. It's like a standard thing. So if you get the correct seat tube angle for you, you don't have to use a setback seat post necessarily. But if the seat tube angle is a little more aggressive, then you'll need that so you can set your saddle back far enough without using up all the rails. So even with my 3.2 on the Colnago, I used up like 3/4 of the rails. I got a little bit left. So that's what it is. So you need to make sure you got the right size, because as the bikes go up, the angles tend to be shallower, the standard stuff that they sell. And every manufacturer is different, because I don't know why they're making everything with a 73.5 and all of that, unless it's a small frame like 50 or less. Yeah, the taller frames like 55, 54, 56, 58, they should have 73 or shallower. And a lot of the Savellos come like that. So just keep that in mind when you buy seat posts. Let's see here. So Robert Tangler says, saw online North Carolina is trying to pass legislation to have bikes registered and tagged. Yeah, they're passing legislation so they can make money from bikes now. And what is the point of that? Like we have to register our cars every year, even though you're still the same owner. That was another tax that slipped through and called it something else. Let's see here. You're welcome, Joel. Joel says, thank you for answering my question. You're welcome, Joel. Hey, Marky Blaze, he says, if I take a week off the bike, would you recommend the next couple of rides to be zone 2? It's hard to give you any recommendation because I don't have a workup on you, Marky. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what your zones are. I don't know anything. So I can't advise you. You're not one of the people I coach. Let's see here. Riding with Team RR can turn into rugby. That's funny. That's Chris Roxbury. Yeah, I like riding with Team RR. Those boys, man, they like I told you guys on Sunday, Rob rode till he was hungry. He ran out of energy. He rode till the tank was empty. He was on fumes. And when we got through the gate, he's on film. He stuck his tongue out. You know, if Davis hadn't given him some food, even that, it was too late. When you hit that point, you need 10, 15 minutes for it to kick in. And by the time we got on Honya Egypt, he was done. That's why you all didn't see him anymore. Yeah, he was done. And at that point, we're home. I don't wait for anybody. We're in town. Everybody's 5 miles from home. They know the way home. We just keep riding. So it's time to get back. You know, the ride's over. So yeah, that happens. I like that group. Most group that do everything right, they're too perfect. So when we ride with them, it's like you guys, the last time we filmed them, you guys said, man, these guys are so smooth and this and that. Yeah, there's not much to comment on with those guys because everybody's stingy. Nobody wastes their energy. Even Mo does not stay up there all the time. He'll take a pull, he'll pull off, everybody goes through, and they share the work. You know, so yeah, they do it right. So every now and then we'll ride with them so we can show you how the boys do it. But I like to ride with Team RR because most new riders, they do what Team RR does. Everybody gets in there and ego kicks in and they forget that, oh, I got 50 miles left. As guys, you know, we get in trouble with our ego. Yeah, Ian says time to go to work. All right, Ian, take care. Robert Tangler, our super legend, says, do I have to saturate my chain with Pro Gold for the initial application? I wouldn't do that, Robert. You will find that a lot of the lube companies will tell you that you need to clean your chain before you start using their lube. The reason they do that is they assume that most riders don't take care of their chain. So, you know, if you're starting out with a chain that you've been keeping clean, just lube it. Just a drop on each one. Now, you may have to do a couple of applications maybe within a week, you know, because you're just starting, because it's going to get in there and start cleaning out the old lube and whatever's in there. I like the Pro Gold because it brings the debris to the top. So after every ride, when you wipe it, whatever you've picked up on the road, Pro Gold does not allow it to get in your pins. A lot of people think that the lube is on the roller. The lube does not work on the roller. The lube works on that pin that goes in the roller. So when you drop it in there, it goes on the side and gets on the pin. That's where the lube is. The outer chain should be clean. It doesn't need to be wet, drippy, all that. No, one drop. And what I do is I take a marker, I start with one link and I mark it. And then I drop and I go around. So I mark it so when I come back to it, I can see the marker, the permanent marker, and it rubs off. And who cares? It's a chain anyway, even if it doesn't, but it does. I mark it so I know when I've done each link. Only do the link, not in between. Just the roller. Drop it on the roller, let it go in, and then you take a rag and wipe off the excess. The reason you do that, anything that is on there that you don't wipe off is a dirt magnet, dust magnet. When you ride outside, you're going to pick up stuff, whether it's pollen, dirt, dust, doesn't matter. And that's what makes your chain dirty. And imagine the people who don't wipe the chain after they ride. The dirt continues to accumulate. So then what happens is you have that friction from the rubbing of the dirt. That's what helps to wear out your chain ring. That's why some chain ring end up looking like shark's tooth. It doesn't need to be like that. So if you keep your chain clean, your components will last for years, many years. It's worth it. I can't tell the last time I had to replace cogs. I just replaced chain. I used the chain tool and I checked for wear and I replaced them when they get to 0.75, put a new one on there. And I've never had to do my cogs. So if you do that, your cog set will last. Your cassettes will last, and they're more expensive. Chains are inexpensive, anywhere from 30 to 50 bucks, depending on what you have. So it's less expensive than replacing your cassettes. Let's see here. Paul Ilonga says, you're right, Chris. Team RR rides the same way every Saturday. They don't care how much you affect them at the end of the ride. Yeah, they're right. You guys saw Bob sitting at the front on Sunday. Bob needs a lot of work. Bob's not conditioned. What he doesn't understand is when he's at the front, it's like I'm just getting out of my driveway. That's the kind. It's a low effort for the people who are conditioned, and that's what he doesn't understand. So when he started going up that overpass, what did he do? And then boom, got gapped because all Alan did was ride. He just rode, and then Paul H was on his wheel, and they started to pull away, and then I rode up to them. They don't know, and I tell Paulie Longer that all the time. We laugh about it. I told they just don't know, but they believe they know. They don't know the nuances, but they believe that what they're doing is right, and that's okay. Because if they don't ask, I don't bring it up. That's not my role. I'm not there to harass anybody. I'm just there to ride. And some of them do ask, and the ones that ask benefit from it. That's just the way in any social group. Don't impose your knowledge on people. As long as they're safe and whatever, that's all I'm concerned about. You know, one day Bob did something on a Sunday, and I was feeling pretty good. We're going up a climb, and he started moving. The light was changing. I was trying to adjust that light. He started to go up the climb, and then Mark took off. Then, you know, Bob had started. So I decided to just sprint, do a long sprint. I'm talking like a 45-second sprint or something like that. Long climb. And I just put a huge gap on the whole group. So then maybe about a minute later, I was spinning down. It finally caught up. So Bob says that I want to ride like Eldred. He opened the door and I let him have it. I said, you're going to have to ride rain or shine. You want to keep up with me. That's just what I told him. And it wasn't from an arrogant standpoint. I wanted him to know he's the biggest one. As soon as it's wet, oh, yeah, you know, I'm going to wait to see what the weather does. That kind of crap. He posts on the board. He always posts that. Like, who cares? Keep it to yourself. You don't want to ride? Don't show up. We'll know you're not there. But you don't need to come put something on the board that might talk somebody out of it, somebody else out of it. And so I let him know, you're never going to be able to keep up with me if you're only riding once in a while. And I left it at that, you know. So he laughed about it, and I just left it like that. He didn't get the message I was trying to get him to get. You want to ride with the top people, you got to do the work. You got to be serious. It's not accidental. Whoever you guys are riding with, the people at the front that are sharing the pace, they don't play with their training. They may not be on the road all the time, but they're on the trainer, and even though it's boring, they're consistent. That's what it takes. There's no other way. In any sport you're doing, not just cycling. All the top people in soccer, they spend more time. Basketball, some of these guys will go early or stay late. Same thing. It's just work. You work on your weaknesses. You know, I could not climb worth a lick when I got into cycling. I'm not the best climber, but I got enough strength and I know about climbing now to where I can hold my own. You know, I'm not going to chase a little jackrabbit up a mountain, but I will hold my pace and be able to peg him back in my terrain. And I didn't know that when I got into cycling. You just want to keep up with everybody. So knowledge, the French say head and legs. That's what they mean. Tête et jambes. You don't just ride. You think. You use your brain. You have to use your smarts. You have to know when, you know. So it's kind of like, that's why you guys saw the ride on the up and down 149. Mark pulled over to the right and did like this. No one went there. Alan wanted nothing to do with the front because it was hard. We'd been riding. It was like 3.5 hours into the ride now. That's when you really tell. After 3 hours, all the bluffing is over. You know, because you really got to have endurance. Mark waved them over on that little, there was a little right turn. He moved over and he waved. No one wanted anything to do with the front. Because their attitude was as if to say, you're up there, set a pace that works for you. That's what I talk about all the time. If I'm at the front, I'm going to ride at a pace that I would ride, let's say, if I were by myself. And if somebody doesn't like it, let them come around. Then I can decide to either let them go or sit on their wheel. And so Alan's attitude was, I'm following whatever you're doing up here. Don't wave me through. Because we've been off camera, they'd been playing in that area where we stopped for Bob to change his gloves. They'd been playing when I stayed behind with Bob and what's her name, Davis. They'd been attacking. So all of that added up. So I knew those climbs were coming. But by the time we got there, Alan was like, I'm not doing anything extra. You know, so when Mark waved him over, he did not go forward. And I waited till the steepest, that last climb is real steep. That's when I went to the front and forced it. That's where I got the thumbnail from. And I forced the pace just enough to where they had to work. So when we turned, then they wanted to wait for Davis and them. And that's what we're doing when we're waiting. So it's like, you know, you've got to use your head. You have to go at the right time. If you're racing, you have to time it. Whatever course you're doing, you have to look, okay, if I go here, then this benefits me. But don't go in an area where, let's say, if you're not a great climber, don't attack on the climb. Attack on the downhill or something if you're a big guy. Because the small guys have problems with fighting the wind. That's how you do it, you know. So you gotta, the timing is critical for everything. Do it when it works, when it's in your advantage. Let's see here. Joe G, I gained so much weight the past 2 years. I want to bike again, but it feels like starting from square one. There's nothing wrong with that, Joe. Look at it this way. you've gained a lot of weight, and usually that's not great for your health. So you have to have a goal. If your goal is to just be healthy, then forget about the competitive side that all of us have in there. Just get on the bike and get out and just spin whatever gear is comfortable and keep your cadence up. Start with that. And just by being outside, you will start feeling better. We gain weight, Joe, when we sit around. We change our lifestyle. You know, as kids, you're running around, you're playing with your friends, and then, you know, you go to school, high school, college, then you get a job, and then you're sitting around behind a desk. That's how we gain weight, sitting. So just get on your bike and go ride. Get rid of, increase your activity there. That's all. That should be your immediate goal. Start doing stuff. And then later on, you can worry about whether you're starting from square one or square two. No, who cares? You got to start somewhere. We've all been there. But you're better off doing something than doing nothing. So go for a short 10, 15-minute ride in the neighborhood and use your bike and explore your neighborhood. Robert Tangler mentioned that some road, it was on my mind today while I was riding, some road called Lake Paloma Drive or something in the area off of Creekside. He said, because of my Strava routes, he looks at them in detail, I guess. And he said he found Lake Paloma. The Lake Paloma ride and all those drives, they're off the beaten path from Creekside, which all the cyclists in the area use. It's a big loop, and you don't have to stop much. I like the Lake Paloma and the other little ones that he was talking about because on my Friday rides where I'm just trying to loosen up, like a massage on the bike, that's where I go. It's quiet. That's why he liked it. They're quiet. And then I get to see new neighborhoods, So that's what you need to do, Joe. Get on your bike and go explore your neighborhood. You couldn't do it on foot. It's more fun on the bike. So you can go see stuff. That's what we do on some rides. Oh, let's see what's going on over there. Paul and I be riding. Look at that hill. Let's go check it out. You wouldn't do that on foot. It would take too much time. So that's one thing about the bike. So just get out there and explore. Forget about starting from square one. Who cares? Nobody keeping score. Just get out there. Start riding and try to ride, let's see, 3 days a week to start and increase from there. It's your week. You should ride every day. Why not? Michael's talking about going to report an incident, and it says as long as nobody was injured, you need not report it. Yeah, well, I guess there was nothing they could do about it. Hi, John. John Hill, one of our super chatters. John from Muskegon, Michigan. I didn't know that people from Michigan were called Michiganders, I guess. I hope I've said that correctly. I was watching a news documentary, and somebody mentioned, one of the anchors said Michiganders or something like that. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So they got all these names. So I hope I've said that. I don't know. I think it's Michiganders is what I heard. So welcome. Let's see here. What year is my Colnago? Christopher Roxbury. It's a replica. So it's, let's see. I would say it's a 2015 or 2016. I think it's a 2016. I haven't had it too long. Yeah, it's about 2006. They use the new tubing called X Lite or something like that. John Hill says, "What is a good seat to buy?" That's a tough one, John. They're all good. I shouldn't put it that way. Find one that suits your anatomy. That's not going to help you much, that phrase, because that's what everybody says. The reason I personally recommend the S&P dynamic is because I came across it indirectly recommended by Steve Hogg, one of the fitters that I've followed for years, because it fits most people. A high percentage of people with different hip sizes, it will work for them. So I just always recommend that, because unless you have a bike shop locally that will give you saddles to try, it's very expensive to be buying saddles you're not sure your anatomy will like. And knowing that the S&P dynamic works for most people, I always recommend that. If you don't have stuff that you can try. And the other reason I like the S&P line, all of them, is because when you adjust fore aft, you don't lose your saddle height like the other ones. The other ones, when you go forward, you lose height. It goes down. When you go back, it goes up. S&P got their rails to where it stays parallel. Third reason I found out is when they break on you when you're riding, they don't fall apart. I did 100 kilometers or more on a broken seat I didn't even know was broken till I got home. So yeah. So S&P I would recommend. Go to the website veloharmony.com and look under the web store. You'll see recommended cycling products. Click on it. It's there. And I have it linked to Amazon so the prices are updated all the time. That's what I would recommend. Okay, you got the Classic. Enzo says he got the Rafa Classic. Yeah, the Classic is a different line. They got Classic, Core, and Pro Team. Michael Farzam says, I use Garmin Tail Light Radar, which shows me the cars approaching from behind on my Garmin. Very useful, and I feel safer. Yeah, I rode with another rider. Paul was on the ride with a bike bar, and I had that. But I actually heard the car before her Garmin. Yeah, if that works for you, that's great. But I don't really watch my head unit that much. I use my hearing, and I look behind, you know, especially when I'm changing my line. So for the most part. I've never been able to use mirrors or anything like Davis was adjusting, the ones that go on your glasses or on the side of your helmet. I just couldn't trust them. They just didn't have the field of vision. I'm more comfortable just either looking under my arm or just looking back like that. You don't need to turn your head completely around to see what's coming. Yeah, but that's cool. MYW44Y says, hello, legends and super legends. Well, welcome. Hey, Noel Pagans here. Bill Michael is our super legend. How you doing? Steve Danoff from Muskegon. I'm formerly from Muskegon. Oh, he's chatting with John Hill. Jeffrey Davis, welcome. All the super legends are rolling in here. Azir Khalid, laces of BOA dials. I have laces and I have Velcro. That's what I have. I have tried the BOA on a Specialized a long time ago. They were fine. I don't think it matters. Just find a shoe you like. Find a brand that fits. What's more important is the last, meaning the bottom of the shoe. Does it mate with the shape of your foot? So if you have flat feet, don't get a shoe that has a deep arch. You will have problems. Comfort. And if you have a lot of arch, then you might want to look for CDs and those guys that come with a lot of arch in them. Because if you get the wrong shoe, then you'll need a custom footbed to really mate your foot with the shoe. So I use the Shimano. I don't own one right now, but I can ride Shimano. I can ride the Giro. I can ride Karnak. And what's that? North Wave and Lake. They all cater to flat feet. So you got to find the brand that suits your shape of foot. What Giro has done is, because they inherently favor flat feet, they send additional arch, adjustable arch that you can put on the shoe depending on how much arch you have. They send 3 extra ones. I just use the standard sole that comes with the shoe because their shoe just mates with my feet. My feet don't have much of an arch. So find the one that fits you. That's what's more important than the laces. I like to be able to adjust my shoe on the fly because there are times when, especially in the summer, my feet will swell. So when I start to ride, I ball up my foot as I put on my shoe. Then I lace it, and then I relax my feet. So I have a little bit of room because in the summer, they swell a little bit. Robert Tegler says, I do study the Strava rides. I've discovered a number of areas to ride. Yeah. Sometimes, as you've seen, Robert, sometimes I'll go on a ride and just say, let me see what's over there. On a bike, you can do that. If you were walking, you wouldn't just say, let me see what's over there, because that's a walk. On a bike, you know, I'm riding at, let's say, 15 miles an hour, or what, 25, 26 kilometers an hour. I can cover some ground real quickly. So in the neighborhoods, I can go down all these little streets and get to see all these places I wouldn't ordinarily. In fact, I learn more about the neighborhood on my bike than I do in my car, to the point where when there's a lot of traffic on the main roads, I use the same roads I use with the bike to get around. And they're always open because a lot of people are not familiar with them unless they live on those streets, because everybody gets on the main drag. So yeah, I use the main street just to get to those areas, like we showed in the group ride. We use the main highways just to get to like Dacus or Mount Moriah Road or Johnson Road. That's quiet. We get less traffic on those roads than even in the neighborhoods we live in. You get one car every now and then because there's nothing out there. There's farms where one person's got acres. So you got maybe 3 owners on, say, a 6-mile road. What are the chances of the 3 of them being on the road at the same time? So where we go, it's quiet. I love going out there. You get a great workout. Paul calls it the open road. There's no cheating. There's no lights that often. So when you're struggling, it shows. You're not going to get any breaks. You know. So guys make excuses. Everybody here? That's when they get concerned about who is no longer there. Like, no, let's keep going. All right, let's see here. Flipmaster 2019. He said, I have a pet cow called Milky, and her moo is wearing out. What should I do? Flipmaster. Huh? Flipmaster, you're in the wrong forum, buddy. What we're going to do is we're going to get you off of here. What percentage is that W new? Oh, okay. What percentage is the harmony climb from Creekside Forest to Went Woods? Oh, let me see. It's not much. It might be 1%, if that. Yeah, it's not much. Went Woods. I think I know what you're talking about. Maybe no more than 2%, Robert. It's not much. In there, they're not that steep. Yeah. You feel them, you know, but yeah, they're not that steep. So it's like so when I talk about the open roads, what happens is when you're in the city and guys make an effort, the stop sign is a reprieve. The stoplight is a reprieve. But in the open road, that's what Paul just put in. He's laughing out loud. In the open road, what happens is when you make an effort and then somebody else maintains that effort when you want to take a break, you don't get to take a break. So you got to keep working. That's the main difference. You know, or if you're unfortunate in the city where you make an effort and the light stays green, you don't get that red light you pray for. We used to ride with UMC. These guys will start slowing down, approaching a green light, hoping that it turns red. Because they've been messing around and now they need a break. We used to laugh about that. But that's what we mean when we say open road. You can't cheat. Because once you get through that one intersection, you're going to be riding for 10 kilometers, about 6 miles, before you come to another intersection. When we get on Bailey Grove, you're riding for at least 7 or 8 kilometers, no stops. And it's up and down. So if you've expended too much energy, you're going to get gapped because you get no breaks. That's what happens out there. And that's what we try to catch. You guys saw, what's the name? Davis and Bob. That's what Paul said during the premiere. He said, every time the road would go up, they'd get gapped. You know, Bob needs conditioning. But since when it rains, he doesn't want to ride. Oh, it's too cold, I'm not going to ride. Oh, it's too cloudy, I'm not going to ride. When are you going to get conditioned? Now the weather's getting better. Spring is here. So the people who've been riding, they're so much further ahead. You will never catch up because you already set yourself behind all winter by making excuses. By the time you come in, they're already so far ahead of you that when they're riding at their steady pace, you're struggling. And he still doesn't understand not to go to the front. You guys saw him pulling up that overpass, but at least he was smart enough to get off. But we end up waiting for him all the time. I don't mind so much on a Sunday because when they're not too far behind, I don't mind. A few seconds here and there is okay. But when it's minutes, I'm not going to be standing on the corner waiting for people that are minutes behind. That's why last week, when we kept the pace high, we did not wait because we had almost 2 minutes on the people who had fallen off. I'm not going to wait. They can meet us at the store because when we get to the store, we're going to spend at least 7 to 10 minutes there. So, yeah, they get to catch up then. Instead of me standing on the corner waiting for 2 minutes. I'm not going to do that. That'll teach them to learn how to, if you want to ride with us, draft closer or work harder. Do the work. That's what it takes. So, yeah, that's what it is. So, Azir Khalid says, I've just bought some Giro Empires. Yeah, I have one of those. I have what they call, I guess they call it red or orange. It's almost this color. The Empires. I had Physique in the same size, but they felt big for my foot. The Giro hugs my feet a lot better. Yeah, Physique makes, I've never owned the Physique shoes. But pay more attention to, well, I guess when you say hug, the toe box. I like the Giro because you have a lot of room. I like a lot of room in the toe. And then the bottom, how they mate with the bottom of your feet, because that's where you pedal with. Just imagine that if your feet did not mate with the shoe and you're trying to pull back, it's going to be sliding. And that's what leads to numbness, where some people get one toe will get numb or something like that. All those things. Your feet should not be moving. Everything should be in place, and it just works. That all of that. If your feet aren't happy, you have a tendency to shift on the saddle to accommodate that discomfort. So then you move away from your spot, your sweet spot. So yeah. He said that's exactly what was happening. Okay, good. Good. In the right foot. Yeah. It's not usually going to be both of them. Yeah. The key is that I always tell people, find the brand that makes, and they call it the bottom of the shoe. Find a brand that suits your foot. Because if the shoe that you're using does not suit your foot, then you end up having to either do a custom footbed so that they will make a footbed that will suit the shoe, and then the top will suit your foot, so your foot is not moving. But it's better to just find a brand that has the right, thing. That's what Giro's putting all these. They call it. They ship all their shoes with 3 extra padding with different arch sizes in them to accommodate more people. I think that's smart. So they start the last for flat feet, then they include deeper arches for other people that have arches. So that way people don't have to go spend money on a custom footbed. Somebody named TV says, I've been recently diagnosed with a clotting disorder requiring blood thinners. Concerned about riding. Well, I mean, with blood thinners, you just have to be careful about injuries. From what I've read, I haven't experienced it myself, but there's a tendency you want to make sure you avoid injuries, because if your blood is thin, you bleed more if you cut yourself. And I'm sure they've told you that. So while you're on the thinners, if you're going to ride, what I would suggest is just be cautious. Probably stay away from groups until you get off the thinners, or just do the trainer to start, and then just pay attention to how you feel. Don't go kill yourself, because the blood thinner is increasing your blood volume. They're helping you avoid clots, and so you just start easy, take it easy, use the trainers, and talk to your doctor, man. Ask your doctor if it's okay for you to exercise, or how hard. I think you probably can, but verify with your doctor. That's where I would suggest you start. Chat with your doctor. Say, I want to exercise. I want to do cycling, which is an aerobic sport. But explain to him that cycling is an inherently risky sport where you can fall, cut yourself, And if you're on thinners, you might bleed more than somebody who's not. You will, not might. So you may not want to ride with the group or ride outside, maybe until you get off the thinners, and maybe just do your indoor stuff and then find out what kind of effort you should use. Find out from your doctor. That would be the best thing for you to do. But avoid getting injured when you're on thinners, not just on the bike. Falls, because you can bleed internally. Just avoid falls and stuff like that. You know, contusions and that kind of stuff. You know, bruises, all that kind of stuff. Because when you thin your blood, you're more prone to bleeding. So just follow your doctor's instruction, man. It's a serious situation. Steve Danoff, have you ever done any of the Houston to Galveston centuries? No, I have not. They have one this weekend, and I'm not really sure what to expect. Houston to Galveston is flat. Expect a lot of wind because you're going to the coast. You know, there's not a whole lot of climbing. But, yeah, expect a lot of wind and just pace yourself, man. Just find a pace that's comfortable because, you know, it's a century. So it's 100 miles. You know, we ride those distances. I just don't go to Galveston. There's nothing. We've been there. There's nothing much to see there. So, you know, maybe if they put a casino there, I'd have a reason to ride there. Something. That's the thing about Texas, man. You know, you go to Vegas, there's stuff to do. You know, even if you go to Lake Charles, they got casinos, they got other stuff. They don't put anything on Galveston Island, and they're pushing it just so you can go sit in that water. The water is not exactly pristine because we have the silt from the Mississippi, so our water, the water itself is fine. It's just what's in it. It's brown, so you know it doesn't look enticing. You know, like when you go to Cozumel or places like that, the water looks enticing, beautiful blue-looking water because of what's there. So our water, you can't even see what's on the bottom. so yeah, I don't do too much of that. Let's see here. Michael said he didn't get any padding with his gyros. That's odd. I don't know. Depends on where you got them from. They should have sent extra soles in the bag. I got them with all of mine. Yeah, Paul says he's done it's flatland. Yeah, it's flat. It's windy. That's all you're going to be dealing with because you're going to the coast, the wind off the water. So yeah, if you draft, you save a lot of energy. But other than that, yeah, it's not much to expect. Try to stay awake. Michael says, is it better to lean? Michael Fernandez, it's better to lean into the corner when descending. Well, when cornering, it doesn't matter whether you're descending, you're going to lean into the corner. If it's dry, depends on the condition, Michael. There's no one way to take a corner. It depends on the condition. It depends on the corner you're dealing with. You know, you don't just lean the bike to lean the bike. There are times when you don't need to, but if you want to, you know, if you want to cut the apex, yeah, you got to be careful with leaning the bike. You got to know not to exceed. You know, the laws of physics apply. So if you lean it too much, you're going to be on the pavement. So yeah, if you want to carry more speed, yeah, you lean the bike, but you have to balance. You have to know how to lean the bike. You have to put weight on your extended leg, and then you have to use the leg on the inside of your knee to extend, kind of like they do in Formula One. But that's something you practice. If you're asking that, that means you haven't done the cornering that much. You need to work on your cornering. Because every corner is different, especially if you're descending. The key is to scrub off the speed before you get into the corner. If you carry too much speed in there, there's not enough lean that will get you out of it. So you need to make sure you take the speed off and then go in the corner. And when you're descending, avoid riding the brakes. When you're headed to the corner, you brake before you get in the corner. Because when you brake while cornering, it's too much of a load. And it's just not the best thing to do. You should not be braking and leaning. You should brake to get to the speed that you think you can handle. And even if you get it wrong, it's better to take less speed into the corner than more. Otherwise, you might have to end up unclipping to get yourself back. You just got to go do it. And as you do it more and more, your skill will improve because then you will know what you can handle, you know, and position your body weight properly. It's fun. You know, just be cautious about it. If it's dry, yeah, you can lean. When it's wet, that's not the time to lean. That's the time to slow down even more and keep the bike as upright as possible, because you lose more time if you hit the ground. Steve King says, good morning from the land down under. That's your countryman, Michael. He's getting his K's in soon. That's good. The land down under. I read up about Tasmania and the island. I think it had like 500 some thousand people living there. When they did the special jerseys, I went and read up about it. It's supposed to be a pretty nice place to live. It's kind of good to read up. Yeah. Okay, so Jeffrey is saying that, Michael, some of the less expensive Giro do not come with the pads. Yeah, the ones I bought was like the Pro Light, and then the Empire. I don't know which Empire you bought. I don't know what they call mine, but it's the light one with the EC90 sole or whatever. So that came with it. So what Michael, they have different kinds of Giros shoes. So yeah. They probably don't include the pads in all the models. Stefano Mancini. I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome. Let's see here. Steve Danoff. Yeah, the wind. Steve Danoff says, thank God for the wind. Wind. It's the best hill training we get down here in the land of the overpass. Okay, how do I wanted to make a point here. For example, the people in Denmark, very flat. We've had a lot of riders from Denmark that have won King of the Mountains. Now, I didn't mean they did all their training in Denmark, but that's where they grew up. So you know they rode the wind. Okay, now, and then they also went and trained in some hills. But the thing is that riding flats is still going to build your strength to where you can transfer it to climb. And the best way I can put it is this way. Let's say you have no wind on the flat, or you have a tailwind on the flat, and you're riding. What happens is your rhythm is different. You're doing maybe 95, 105, 110, 120 RPM. Because you carry more speed on the flat. To say you're doing 41, 42 kilometers an hour, and somebody goes to 47 kilometers an hour, and you want to close that gap, you use speed. So let's say you're in a 53.15, you spin it up. 120, 125, you close the gap, shift up to the 14. Then your cadence drops to maybe 100, 105, and you're holding that. That's what happens a lot of time in the criteria. You're riding and you're just using high cadence. Now, if that's all you ever do, you're not going to just go ride a mountain climb and be the first guy up there. You're going to have to adapt that fitness that you got from the high speed work on the climbing, because it's a different rhythm. When you're climbing, you're not spinning at 120, 110. Now, you may do that when you accelerate to close gaps on a climb or to open gaps on a climb, but then you shift back, and let's say you pedaling 85, 95, whatever, you use more force on the climb. A different kind of rhythm. You have to get your body acclimated to it. Your muscles have to get acclimated to it because you use them differently. And that's the reasoning. So the thing is if you have the wind, you can still spin into the wind and build the same kind of speed that you were using a criterion like I described a little earlier. But you can also choose to gear up and use the same rhythm you would use on a climb. And that's what he's talking about. That's what Steve's talking about. So you're not going to ride 110 RPM into the wind and become a mountain climber. You have to use a larger gear, more load, more force, lower cadence into the wind to simulate hill climbing. That's the thing. This is the reason why riders go to areas that are hilly to ride the hills, because it's almost like a different kind of training. And the reason they do that is if they have events that include that, you want to prepare your body for it. Because if you never do that, it takes acclimatization to get used to that. And it's a shock to the system if all you've been doing are criteriums and then you want to go climb a mountain. It's different. And if all you've been doing is climbing and you want to go do a criterium, that's different too. So you need to do the kind of riding for the terrain you're going to do your event in. That's the reason we go north, because we get all of that where we go. It's up and down. So downhill, you can spin if you choose to. Then when it goes back up, you can push if you choose to, or you can mix your rhythm, or mix the cadences. So we get the best of all these worlds where we go. That's why a lot of riders like rolling terrain instead of just climbing all day. After a while, you get sick of climbing for an hour. I mean, let's face it. I don't want to climb for an hour. That's boring, you know. So I like the mix. I like to climb for a while. Then you have a flat stretch. And then, you know, so I really like that. So a lot of riders, there are people that live near mountains that will pick a day or a week and say, you know what, I'm not climbing. I'm going to go do this other area or whatever. You get tired of doing the same thing. You know, who wants to climb for an hour? Just like I don't want to be on a flat road for 3 hours. So you need the variety. I think it's good for you, your mind and your body. That's the key. But you work with what you have. So the reason I went around explaining that is, if you live in a flat area, choose which days you're going to simulate climbing and choose which days you're going to focus on speed, because you may need both and you should be able to handle that. Because when we do these rides on the weekends, there are stretches where these guys are climbing fine and we get on a flat road, before you know it, they're getting gapped because the gear's too big. Like Victor, you guys see Victor, he's carrying that big gear. Then a little while, oh man, I got to rest my knees. We don't pedal our knees. If you were using the right gear, you wouldn't need to rest your knees, because those big gears will overload your knees, you know, and you can have overuse injuries. So you got to balance it off. Okay, let's see here. Azir has Empire SLX. That's what I have. The Empire SLX is what I have. So I don't know why you didn't get one. Yeah, I have the Empire SLX. I have it in bright. They call it bright red, but it really looks like an orange. Stefano wants to know my thought on weightlifting. I've done a lot of this winter. I built a lot of muscle. Well, I hope you build the right muscles, because, yeah, you will be slower, especially on the climbs, if you build muscles that you don't use in cycling. Because cycling is, every sport is specific. So if you're going to build muscle, you need to build muscle that you will use in cycling. So I talked about it earlier in this session. You need to, let me see if I can find the video here. You can watch this video that I made a while back. Let's see. Let me find it here. Okay. So it'll be easy to find. I shouldn't have any problems there. Let's open this. I'm going to find this video for you because I want to have you look at it. I think it will be a big help to you. Let's see. I think it's called, I called it the best weight training for cyclists or something like that. You don't want to get bulky because you won't be able, it won't benefit you on the bike, especially when you start doing a lot of climbing. You need to lengthen your muscles. So you need to do high reps kind of training. But you've already been working out, so I hope you were doing it the right way. If not, it's not the end of the world. You just need to change if you're going to continue. Don't only do weight training in the winter. It should be part of your full year program if you're into it. I don't do anything other than my total gym. And I do the total gym because it actually stretches. It's almost like what they call plyometrics. or calisthenics. You know, it stretches while you work out. So I kind of combine both. Let's see here, cycling. Gym workout for cyclists. I think that's what I called it. Somebody had asked a while ago, probably a little over a year ago, about it, so I made that video. I can never remember the exact name. Let's see here. Let's see here. I don't know what I called it, but I'm not finding it. I found the stretching for cyclists on here, but I didn't find that. I'll look for it. I'll look for it and maybe post it on the page, Stefano. Make a note here. I know the video's there. I don't know what I call it. Gym workout for cyclists. Okay. Let's see. Ian Hunter. I'd like to make videos of my social rides. Would you be able to show your gimbal? Paul does an excellent job of holding, and I'm wondering how he is holding the gimbal. We did that before. What you want to do is search on the live stream. I did that in one of the earlier live stream that's in there. But I can put the link for the gimbal itself that we use. I made a video about that. Maybe that will help you. The Removal S1 is what we use. So this will show you, this is the review that I did of the gimbal. Okay. So Steve King is saying, letting you know that your breathing videos helped me with the event I did on the weekend. It's called Blaney the Bathurst. The Peloton took off from the get-go. 105 kilometer, 5 kilometer climbs. Yeah, breathing's great. I'm glad that the video helped you. I mean, it's good to hear that these videos are helping people, but what I want you guys to understand is the reason we're able to do this is because of the support that we get on the channel. So although it's nice to hear that it helps you, make sure you help the channel that helped you. That will keep it here for you and other people. That's what these guys like Chris Roxbury, Robert Tangler, and all the other super legends do. So keep that in mind, okay? So I'm glad the video helped you. That's great. He said he got dropped and even the female caught up 35 miles later. Yeah, you just got to just work for the distance. Just do the training. So, Ian, the link is there for the removal. I did a review on it. That will let you know. That's the gimbal. That's what we use. Let's see. John wants to know, have I ever bought a jersey from Amazon? If so, what are your thoughts? I haven't bought a jersey, but I buy a lot of stuff from Amazon. I don't have any problems. I think they're one of the best customer service oriented organizations out there. I bought many things from Amazon that have very little to do with cycling. Some do. I mean, like a lot of the lights and stuff. And one thing that I like about Amazon is if you're having a problem, it's like no questions asked. You're the customer. Let's say something you ordered didn't come or whatever. They'll refund your money like that. They don't, yeah, no sweat. So no, I don't hesitate to buy from Amazon. I've been buying from them for years. That's actually the first place I look. Most of my recommended products are linked to Amazon because their customer service is really top notch. They don't play around. You're not happy with something, they'll refund you the money. And if the stuff happened to be in your hand, they'll tell you just keep it. You know, and I think Rafa does the same thing. Paul Ilonga ordered something he was telling me about, some jerseys, and FedEx messed up, delivered it somewhere else. And then Paul contacted PayPal, got his money back, and then a while later, the jersey showed up at his door. It was already opened. So he called Rafa to tell him, hey, I already got my money, but your jersey showed up. They told him, just keep them. You know, so, you know, love him or hate him, man, Rafa doesn't play. So, yeah, I just love the fact that you can buy a jersey, crash in it, and if they can't repair it, they'll give you 50% off the new one, whatever's available for the same product. No one else does that. No one has crash replacement warranty, and I've used them. They fixed a jersey I like, my Felice Gimondi jersey. They fixed it. They're good. So, yeah. The other guy's going to have to step up because these guys are just setting the bar pretty high. Best gym workout for cycling. Jeffrey, thank you. Let's see here. Let me find it. So Jeffrey found the name. Best gym workout for cycling. Let me find what I think it's. Let's see which playlist is in. Maybe that will help you. Yeah, there we go. Best gym workout for cycling. Excellent. Let's find this for that guy. It's pulling other things as well. It's not as specific. Oh, there it is. Okay, you're right. Best gym workout for cycling. That is weird. I typed it exactly the same, but it brought like a bunch of other videos. So here's the video on the gym workout. Thanks, Jeffrey. I appreciate it. Jeffrey's one of our super legends. Appreciate the help. There you go. One less thing I got to do. Cross it off my list. Yeah, and that is actually in the playlist for training and fitness. So there's a bunch of videos out there that will help you get in shape. Steve King, is there such a thing as the best frame size for in-betweener sizes, or can you still get the okay frame and change the stem to make it work? Yeah, there is a best frame size for every rider. Now, the manufacturers are making fewer sizes, and they're pushing it on people. So, yeah, you have to accommodate that. But what we do is we basically get your credentials or your particulars, and we tell you what frame will be best for you. You always have to accommodate frames by stem length, but within reason. You don't want a frame that's too small and have to put a long stem on it because the handling would be affected. Tony, thank you, my brother. Thank you so much. Tony says, yeah, let's support this channel. I wish I had the information 20 years ago. Tony, I'm telling you, the reason we do this, when I started cycling, knowing what I know now, I would have won so many more races. It just wasn't out there. Nobody told you. And I don't think they knew either. And even today, that's why I talk about Team RR. They think they know what they're doing, but they don't. You're riding with your head and legs. You have to. It's not just cycling, any kind of sport. You have to use your head. You know. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate that. Yeah, so Steve, if you want, we have a bike sizing service on veloharmony.com. And that's what people use, so I can give them the exact size that will work for them. And we'll also allow you to provide 2 manufacturers, 2 brands you're looking at, and I'll let you know if their seat angle will work for you, because that's important. You got to be able to set your saddle correctly, and some of those bikes are set with too aggressive of an angle for you to get your seat right. So yeah, it's a science. It's very important. You can go for okay, but then you will never be quite optimal. And the people who are optimal, when you see them riding, they look like they're doing nothing. Just the legs move. And they're very efficient. They don't waste energy. So they're fresh. late in the ride when the other people who are shifting around because their bike's off or having numb hands or whatever. So get the right size, get the right bike, and then get it fitted. That's the key. It needs to be fitted to you. And a lot of riders think fit is an option. Fit is, it all begins with fit. That's one of the bylines of this channel here. So keep that in mind. All right, let's see here. So Chris says, make sure you take out your cinematographer to any restaurant of his choosing when you hit 10,000 subscribers. Why 10,000 subscribers? Let's see. Are we close to that? I think we are. Let's see here. This funny thing in my background here is still 9976. Yeah, I guess 24 more. Yeah, we'll do a little party. So Dusan said, how to prevent hip pain. Why are you having hip pain? I'm not sure why you're having hip pain, Dusan. You should not be having any pain. So everything starts with your fit. Any discomfort you're having, make sure you fit it correctly to your bicycle. So find a local fitter that can find out why you're having hip pain. Unless you have an inherent problem, you shouldn't have any pain when you ride your bike. Yeah, you're right, Christopher. 10,000 is a great milestone. I got an email from there's a thing what they call YouTube has a thing what they call the Creator Studio or something, and all the creators. I'm subscribed to them, and you get access to training and stuff that they teach you. And they've been talking about that. And now that we're getting to 10,000, I noticed I'm getting a lot more solicitations from vendors. You know, a lot of products are crappy. Some guy sent me something, and all it was like a referral, what you call it, affiliate link to just products that had nothing specific for cycling. And I replied and told him, I don't have time to look through thousands of your products to see which one I want to bring to my audience. You need to send me products for cycling. So I shouldn't have to look through all this stuff. You know, you got kitchen stuff, all kinds of crap. I was like, I don't have time for that. That's too general. I don't have time to go sort out. So, but also there's a thing called FameBit that I think YouTube bought out of YouTube or Google. They're all owned by Google, I guess. And I'm on there now. And when you get to like, I think it was like 5,000 or something, you were eligible. But I went and I looked around, and all they had was like jump rope and other stuff. You know, they're not grouped very well. So I tried to look for nutritional stuff that I would use that I think would be very useful. I spent a little bit of time looking through there. You can find sponsorships where you make review videos for them. So yeah, at 10,000 now, it opens another door to where you have access to more sponsors. So yeah, it is a big milestone. They've been sending stuff like that, but I look at it, I'm like, oh, this is cool. Yeah, I mean, 10,000 subscribers means a lot. What it means is the content is good enough to where you don't just have your friends. I mean, at 1,000, that kind of confirmed it. Because if you just got your friends, you'll have a few, 25, 50, whatever. But once we got to 1,000, we kind of knew. And we just stayed with the program. Now we're at 10,000. Yeah, I don't discount it, but I don't put too much emphasis on it either. I just continue to focus on keeping the quality the same. The level, like when I decided to do the chainring stuff, I noticed that I had not done something like that. Because a lot of people don't know about that. Because the guys I ride with are always cross-chaining because they want to stay on the big chainring. And that's why I did it the way I did it, where I explained that you don't have to do this because you have that choice. Then I put those other videos in there that would teach you. Because the guys we ride with, I don't, like I keep saying, I don't bring it up when I'm riding with them. I just ride. People who want to know, people who see, like when I met Paulie Lunga, the first thing he said was, you're patrolling the group. You go into the front, you come into the back, you make it look easy. And he started to ask me questions. That's how our conversation started. And then he kept asking, nobody else asked you? His point was, how could you ride with these guys for 2 years and they didn't see what I saw the first day? And then I told him, I said, because they're not you. They're not students of the game. I'm paraphrasing, but he knows what I mean. That's what I mean. The people who seek knowledge you don't have to make them drink. You know, so you just do stuff. So people will come and ask, and when somebody asks, "Oh yeah, I'm great," I'll tell you, "Okay, yeah, we got this service, or we got whatever," or just tell you on the road what I can go. There are certain people I can't give, like that guy John, who wanted me to talk about his hand numbness, but he left out the fact that his hand was going numb when he was sleeping and off the bike. He didn't tell me his numbness was not because of the bike. So when you're seeking advice and you don't give the whole story, the advice is not very useful. So a lot of times I'm like, come in, let's check everything. So yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, but yeah, it's great. I'm glad that it's growing, but you guys know it was going to happen. It's just a matter of time. The funny thing about it, I get a lot of people sending me messages from the website. They'll go there and like contact and say, you should have more subscribers. I don't control that. I can't make people sign up to come get educated. You know, it's kind of like, think about it. Go to the schools. A lot of people don't want to learn. You know, the people who want to learn, they're here. So when people come to the channel, somebody will say, this is the best channel out there. They'll put in the comments some of the legends. This is the best channel out there. I read that and I smile, you know, and because they're almost like they're trying to convince themselves that, wow, how did I not find this already? It's there, you know, and to stumble upon it is great, and I see the enthusiasm, and I appreciate that. But there's a lot of people who are not interested in true detail. They want something like our local news, where they'll give you 5 shootings and no details about what the shootings were about, and you feel like, man, this is happening in this town. Maybe I need to move. You know, then when you go read, you find out that one of them was a family issue. The other one was the guy hated his boss. The other one, you're like, oh, okay. People are not just going around shooting everybody. It's stuff going on personally. You know, that's what I mean. So that's great. That's great, Christopher. Yeah, I see that. We're close. Just got some commute Ks in. Well, good for you, man. Patrick Van Ewick. I've been off the bike for 6 months because of problems with my right knee, not bike related. Okay. He stopped watching for a bit because I was getting depressed with not being able to ride. Okay. Yeah, Patrick, I don't know what the problem is with the knee, but actually the bike is a good tool for rehabilitating the knee. A lot of time when people have knee replacements and stuff like that, the bike is used in the rehab. I mean, you know, not road bike per se, but you know what I mean. A lot of the rehab centers put them on stationary bikes. That motion to strengthen the quadriceps and the other muscles that support the knee. So the bike is actually good for the knee. So hopefully you can chat with whoever treated your knee and just say, hey, you know, I cycle. Can I use my bike? And just make sure that your setup on your bike now, that the saddle's correct, because if it's too high, you can hurt your knee. And make sure that you can use your bike on the trainer to at least start part of your rehab. So you're not, you know, feeling down about not riding. We all get there. I mean, you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in life that can bring you down. And thankfully, I have cycling. Because when I ride my bike, like I've said before, I forget all those little niggling things. We all got things that if we didn't have an outlet can bring you down in the dumps. Don't let that do that to you. You're here for a bigger purpose than whatever may be going on. So even if you can't ride, maybe go outside for a walk or something if you can with the knee. Just do what you can and get out there. You know, you got your health. Don't be down about it, and eventually you'll be able to get back. But the bike will be good to help your knee, you know. Mm-hmm. So Patrick Van Ewick said, but I have finally got a green light to start cycling. Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, just pay attention to your gearing. Since you just had knee problems, don't get macho. Use high cadence. It will build. It's the best way to get in shape without straining the joint. Keep your gears low. Keep your cadence high. Stress your aerobic system. You will drop the weight. That's how you condition yourself. That's the easiest way to get in shape. Keep your cadence high. Burn those calories. And save your knees for later when you build those quadriceps. We're going to be wrapping up, guys. Let's see. Let me try to speed through here. Jeffrey said he was watching. It's too weak to walk 10 yards. That's great, man. Glad you're back. Yeah. Yeah. Start easy. Small gear. No, don't pay attention to speed. Just go out and visit your area. Check out the animals in the area and the other people and your neighbors. Just go out and just spin your bike. Just get out there and enjoy the fresh air. That's all that matters. Yeah, now that you're allowed to ride, just start with low gears and keep your cadence above the 80s and higher. Yeah, so good to have you back, man. Good to have you back. Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up. Thanks, Noah. Yeah, my daughter's fine. Appreciate that. So, you guys, this is the middle of the week. Stay with your program. The weekend's coming. Let's keep it moving. Okay? You guys take care. Thanks, all.